Hello YouTube and welcome back to my channel. Unfortunately today you are going to notice that there is something missing at the Lonely Rider garage. Yep, that's right. The Kawasaki is gone. In my defense, I did say I was probably going to sell it in a year, and it's been a year. Honestly, guys, I'm just as bummed about it as you. I mean, I had that bike for 6 years. I loved it. It was a fun bike. I had lots of fun tinkering on it. I'll admit it, it was kind of sad strapping it to the back of the truck and hauling it away. I almost shed a tear. I made a lot of memories with that bike, but again, it was just time. So I bought a quick shifter to cheer me up. So today we're going to be installing a quick shifter on the K7 GSX-R1000. And here is the total package. Now in order to install a quick shifter onto the K7 from Dynojet, you're actually going to have to buy 3 separate components. You're going to have to buy the expansion module, you're going to have to buy the sensor itself, and you're also going to have to buy the rod to install the sensor on your shifter, or rig up a rod of your own making. And again, I will put links to all of this in the description. But first things first, we got to take off the rear cowl, the seat, side plastics, and lift the gas tank up. Look at my new lights. They're cheap, but they'll do. First thing you gotta do is remove the shifter rod by removing these 2 bolts on either side. They are both 10 millimeters. After you loosen both nuts, you gotta get yourself a pair of pliers if you can't do it by hand, and you have to rotate the shaft this way in order to get it to unthread out. And there we are. Take the nuts off because you're going to have to reuse those. And if the previous owner of your bike spray painted the threads like mine did, you're going to have a harder time getting it off. Now they're all different kinds of rods that you can buy for different bikes. For the K7 or the K8 GSX-R1000, you're going to want B rod. Again, I'll put links to it in the description, but you're going to want the B rod. Now if you don't already know, these shifter rods, one side has reverse thread, the other side has standard thread. That's how you can twist it one way and it will unscrew from both sides. This is designed the same way. The side where you see the flat spot right there, that is the standard thread side. This side where you see the 3 lines there, that is the reverse thread side. The reverse thread side threads into the back ball joint right here. The standard thread side threads into the sensor, and then the standard thread on the sensor threads into the front ball joint. So we're going to go ahead and put our nuts on both sides. Again, this one's reverse thread, so you don't turn it on this way, you turn it on backwards. Now go ahead and thread the standard thread side into the back of the sensor. Now go ahead and thread the cover off the end. Now another thing you could do at this point, which a lot of people do, it's very common when you install a quick shifter, is you could also switch to what's called Moto GP shift. If you don't know what Moto GP shift, it's just reversing the direction of the shift. So normally you push down to go down through the gears, 4, 3, 2, 1, or you pull up to go up through the gears, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Moto GP shift is the reverse. You take this guy off and you flip him around like this. So that reverses the directions. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and change mine over to Moto GP shift because I want to try it out for a while. I've never actually done it before. I know about it, of course, but I've never done it, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it a try. After you get that moved, go ahead and start the reverse thread in the back ball joint first because that's just easier to do. Draw the back one in far enough that you can get the front one started. And then thread them both simultaneously. Now after you get it threaded on, go ahead and tighten your front nut and go ahead and tighten the rear nut. And they are both 10 millimeters. After you get done installing the sensor, you're going to notice that there are 2 wire connectors on here, but you only have 1 wire included in the box. That's because this is a kind of a dual action sensor. It's for push or pull, and so depending on whether you have it set for standard shift or Moto GP shift, it will determine which one of these you want to use. So the blue and green one is meant for standard shift. That's the easiest way to think about it. If you put yours into Moto GP shift like you just saw me do, you're going to want to use the yellow and red wire and connect them together like that. So again, if you're using standard shift, blue and green. If you're using Moto GP shift, yellow and red. Now the best place to thread this wire through is up above the fuse box right there to keep it away from the drive chain. Reach in there, thread it up through, pull it on through. Now you're going to want to take your expansion module and you're going to want to park it right beside the power commander in the back compartment of your bike. And you're going to want to feed the connectors to the fuel injectors on through the bike, probably following the same cable path you did for the power commander. Now, if you haven't already installed the power commander on your bike, go watch my video on installing the Power Commander 5 on the K7 GSX-R1000. I'll put a link to it in the description. But basically, the Power Commander only connects to the bottom 4 injectors. You can see one of them right there. But in order for the quick shifter to work properly, you have to have control over all 8 injectors, which is why you need the expansion module, because the expansion module will hook into the Power Commander. We'll get to that in a minute. And it plugs into the top 4 fuel injectors to give Power Commander full control over all 8 of them. So just like you did with the Power Commander, you're going to want to take the cable, starting with the first connectors here on the left, and hook those into that fuel injector and keep on going like that all the way to the right side. Do that for all 4 of them. Now just tuck the excess cabling down inside the bike. Now this last white connector on the expansion module, you also want to thread that down through. Mind you, I ordered both of these components from Dynojet at the same time, brand new from their website, and they don't connect. So basically, from what I read online, is this is the wrong style connector, but they send them like that anyway. So what you have to do with your brand new $500 system is you have to actually snip the wires off here and just splice the wires directly together. And why do we have to do this? Because Dynojet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this right here and I'm going to pull it back quite a bit to give me some excess wire, and I'm going to cut it about right there just in case I have to use this connector again. I don't think I will, but just in case, I'm going to snip the wires right there, and then I'm going to splice these together. Now we're simply going to splice blue wire to blue wire and green wire to green wire. Blue to blue. And green to green. Feels good. Now we're just going to wrap it up with some tape to make sure they don't come apart. I'm going to finish this job by zip tying this cable out of the way so it doesn't catch my foot when I'm shifting. Now to hook up the expansion module to the power commander, which is the last step, it says here to put the green wire in the 5th hole from the far right and the blue wire in the 4th hole from the far right. Online everybody says it doesn't really matter if you get them flip-flopped as long as they're both in numbers 4 and 5, but we're going to follow the directions just because it's what it says. To do this, you're going to need one of these small flat tip precision screwdrivers. Grab your power commander, flip it around upside down. Grab this rubber seal right here and pull it off. See those little tiny screws in there? You're going to want to loosen this one and this one. Now after you loosen those screws, the holes that you fit the wires in are actually right here. So there is actually like a rubber seal blocking the holes. So before you can stick the wires in there, you have to get yourself a little sharp tool or a paper clip. Actually, I think a paper clip will fit if you don't have one of these. And you actually need to puncture it first so that you can get the wire in there. The green wire goes in number 5. Tighten that down. And the blue wire goes in number 4. And tighten that down. put the rubber seal back on. Now you can put on the Velcro that came with it and Velcro it somewhere down inside your bike. And now the most important part, we have to turn it on. So we already got our Power Commander software up. We are now going to plug in the USB cable to the PC5, and it should boot and connect automatically. Okay, after it connects to your Power Commander, you're going to want to go to Power Commander Tools. You're going to go down to Configure. Okay, Configure, Feature, Enables, and Input Selections. Click that. You're going to want to go down to where it says Quick Shifter. Check the box. Make sure it's set to switch input number 2, which is where we connected the wires at, and go over to Configure. Now here's where all of your selection abilities are. So it has 2 modes. It has gear independent, in which case you can change the times for every gear shift that you're doing. We're going to do a single time, which is just going to be 1 shift time for every gear. You can do it as your preference. Me, just starting, I'm just going to do single time. I'm just going to adjust 1 number, and if I find that it's not adequate for all the gears, then I will switch over to gear dependent and I will adjust them all individually. But for now, I'm just going to do 1 shift time across the board. Switch style, you want to leave that at normally open. Minimum RPM, so you can select actually what RPMs the sensor becomes active. So basically what this means is if you're under 3000 RPMs, it will not kill fuel to the engine, so the quick shifter will not be working. It will not activate until you get above 3000 RPMs, and then you can do clutchless shifting. The shift interval, that is an amount of delay when the sensor is activated and it activates the quick shifter. That is an amount of delay in between before it will allow you to activate it again. And that's just to prevent you from activating it back to back to back to back to back and, you know, potentially causing a problem. So that's just like a delay between activations. I'm guessing it's in milliseconds. It doesn't really say, but this is the kill time is in milliseconds, so I'm guessing that's also in milliseconds. So if you want more of a delay between activations or less, you can increase or decrease that number. And then down here you have kill mode, which in this case I only have fuel mode only. Some bikes, I think some twin cylinder bikes, you can set it to actually kill the ignition as well. That feature I do not have with the Power Commander 5 with this bike. So in this case it's just going to be a fuel kill only. So you can't really change that. And then the shift time, it's in milliseconds, so you can change how long it kills the fuel, a little bit longer, a little bit shorter. If you find that it's not enough and you don't have enough time to get it clicked into the next gear, you can increase this number. If you find that it's killing it too much for too long, you can decrease that number. I'm just going to use the stock set number because I don't know what it's going to do yet before I take a test ride, and then I will adjust it to my liking. And then when you're all done, you hit OK, then hit OK again, and it will turn it on. Now you should be ready to go. And we are finished the installation. Now, as always, it's time to take it for a test drive. Sorry about the wind noise. It's pretty breezy out today, so I don't know how well you can hear me or not, but it'll be good enough just for a quick test. Okay, here we go. You ready? Works like a charm. Sweet! I'll admit, this is actually the first time I've ever done Moto GP shift, and I really thought, you know, pushing up to go down and down to go up would really mess me up, but honestly, I've been out now for 3 minutes, and I'm already getting used to it. It really isn't that bad, and I've been riding standard shift for almost 20 years. So it works like a charm. The only thing is this rod is a little bit long yet, so this lever is a little further down than I would like. I'll probably cut off one of these threaded sides to make that rod a little shorter so I can bring this lever up a little bit, because right now I'm pretty much out of adjustment, so I'll probably shorten it a little bit so I can bring the lever up a little higher. But other than that, it works fine. Well, that's it for this episode. Catch you guys later.